Good afternoon, esteemed panelists, and good afternoon to our batchmates. I am Landon, the group leader alongside my group mates. We are pleased to present our research paper entitled ESG Scores as Indicator of Earnings Quality in ASEAN-listed Real Estate Companies.
This presentation introduced the background and importance of the study of ESG and earnings quality in the Asian real estate sector. It explained that the real estate industry had become expanding rapidly over the past decade and had become a major contributor to the region's economic growth. Alongside this expansion, the environmental, social, and governance or ESG practices had emerged as the new benchmark for evaluating corporate sustainability, accountability, and stakeholder trust. The presentation then pointed out that the connection between ESG performance and earnings quality had remained uncertain. And although the ESG was expected to improve transparency and responsible reporting, its actual effect on the quality earnings could still differ, depending on corporate governance and managerial decisions. On the right side of the slide, the discussion identified key research gaps. Most previous studies had been limited to single country context or theoretical discussions, with very few offering empirical region-wide evidence in the Asian setting. It also emphasized the lack of practical applications that could guide investors and regulators in assessing how ESG scores relate to financial reliability. And finally, the slide underscored the study's contribution, noting that it helped investors, regulators, and corporate decision makers evaluate whether the ESG disclosures were credible indicators of financial transparency. And in essence, the introduction set the stage for examining how sustainability performance influences earnings quality, filling both theoretical and practical gaps in Asia's evolving real estate market.
For this statement of the problem, our study primarily seeks to explore the relationship between environmental, social, governance or ESG performance and earnings quality among Southeast Asian listed real estate firms from the years 2017 to 2023. In recent years, ESG has become a critical benchmark for assessing how firms operate beyond profit generation. However, despite its growing relevance, the link between ESG performance and the actual quality of firms' earnings remains underexplored in a Southeast Asian context. This creates a gap that our research aims to address. To achieve this, our paper established four main objectives. First, we profiled firms based on their ESG scores, earnings quality, and financial indicators such as working capital ratio, return on assets, and firm size. This helped identify variations in performance and governance structures across the region. Second, we analyzed the relationship between ESG performance and earnings quality to determine whether firms with higher ESG scores demonstrated greater transparency and credibility in financial reporting. Third, we tested the significance of the ESG and board gender diversity on earnings quality. Board gender diversity was recognized as a key factor that influenced decision-making and oversight. We assessed whether gender-diverse boards enhance the effect of ESG on earnings quality, particularly in Southeast Asia where governance practices differed from Western economies. Lastly, we provided insights for developing reliable performance indicators for real estate investment trusts, or REITs, and for benchmarking funds in the region. These findings aim to guide policymakers, investors, and corporate leaders towards more sustainable and transparent financial practices. For our review of related literature, several studies across industries confirm the significant statistical relationship between ESG performance and earnings quality. However, findings remain mixed. More studies like those by Vates et al. And Velte support a positive link, whilst others such as Al-Mubarak et al. And Bergquist suggest that ESG could also be used as a tool for symbolic compliance or greenwashing. Our review also highlighted that board gender diversity may moderate the ESG earnings quality relationship, as in studies by Orazalin and Concao et al., which found that gender-diverse boards tend to promote transparency and stronger governance oversight. Finally, numerous studies in the same industry support the inclusion of working capital, firm size, and return on assets as control variables, since these firm-level financial factors significantly affect profitability and reporting behavior, helping ensure our model accurately isolates the impact of ESG on earnings quality.
Our research was guided by two frameworks that provided the why and the how for our study. First, our theoretical framework established the why. It combines stakeholder theory, which explains why managing stakeholders impacts earnings quality, with a theory of regulatory compliance, which provided the mechanism for how ESG compliance influences management decisions. Second, our conceptual framework was the how, our testable blueprint. It operationalized these theories by setting earnings quality as our dependent variable, and the three ESG scores combined as our independent variable. This model also included board gender diversity as a moderator and control variables like firm size and ROA to ensure our analysis was robust. Together, these frameworks allowed us to move from an abstract concept to a focused, quantitative, and verifiable investigation as to how these ESG scores indicate earnings quality. To ensure the thoroughness of our research, we use a quantitative panel data regression to study Southeast Asian real estate firms from 2017 down to 2023. Our targeted sample from the LSEG database required firms to have complete financial and ESG data for all 7 years. We based all variables on established academic measures. Our analysis followed a multi-step process. First, we cleaned the data by removing 21 outliers using the IQR method. Second, we created 6 paired regression models with and without controls to test the strength of our findings. Third, we employed Hausman and Bruce-Pagan tests to select the right panel model, either fixed effects or random effects for each hypothesis. Finally, we conducted all classical assumption tests. We addressed the heteroskedasticity and autocorrelation with cluster robust standard errors and fixed multicollinearity in our interaction term by using main centering. This careful process of testing and correcting ensures our results are statistically sound and valid.
Our investigation yielded 3 key findings that challenge the conventional wisdom about ESG. First, on the direct link between ESG and earnings quality, we found a statistically significant but economically weak negative relationship. Crucially, this link vanished when we controlled for basic financial health, indicating that ESG alone is not a robust driver of earnings quality in this region. Second, when we added more gender diversity, the results were striking. Diversity itself showed a strong statistically significant negative relationship with earnings quality. This was unexpected and suggests that in this context, diversity may be more about appearance rather than substantive governance. Third, and most tellingly, we found that gender diversity does not improve the ESG relationship. Instead, it acted as a negative moderator, slightly strengthening the negative association. This points to a potential compounding effect of symbolic compliance. In short, the data consistently reveal that higher ESG and diversity scores are associated with lower, not higher, earnings quality in the ASEAN real estate firms. So, what do these consistent negative results mean? We conclude that the primary mechanism at play is symbolic compliance. Our analysis strongly supports the theory of regulatory compliance. Firms are treating ESG and diversity as exercises to gain legitimacy. This focuses on compliance, creates a paradox. The effort to meet these external standards appears to divert attention from core operational transparency, thereby reducing the earnings quality. Therefore, our central conclusion is that in the ASEAN real estate sector, ESG and more gender diversity in their current form are not reliable indicators of high-quality earnings. The practical implication is clear. Investors and fund managers cannot take these scores at face value. A high ESG score should be a starting point for deeper due diligence, not a green light for investment. Ultimately, this isn't an argument against ESG, but a call for its more substantive and integrated implementation.
So the third point, achieving true sustainability requires the integration of ESG into core business operations, not just by producing reports. And fourth, there is a vicious cycle that focusing only on ESG and board diversity can actually lower the quality of reporting rather than enhancing it. So in short, real impact comes from meaningful integration of sustainability into core business practices, not just by ticking the boxes of compliance or for board diversity metrics. Thank you for your attention, and that concludes our presentation.